information. Now we have a number of different words related to this. One of them is called a gene. Now a gene is a certain trait, I'm going to write. Now you could call it a characteristic, you could call it a trait. All it basically means is it's instructions on how to make a protein for a particular characteristic that you possess. So you might have blue eyes, you might have blonde hair, you might have short hair, you might have curly hair. All of these sort of traits can be coded for from these things called genes. So what are genes? Well, you have strands like this that are known as DNA strands. So each one of these strands is known as a DNA strand. Don't just know what DNA stands for, but I'll tell you anyway. It's deoxyribonucleic acid. But anyway, so you have two DNA strands, and together these form something known as a double helix, which is because basically they cross over and they're two strands together. It's this whole idea of this shape, and in between these bulges in the double helix are these little things called genes, these little genetic strands called genes. Okay, and this whole structure here, which is made up of two strands of DNA, is known as a chromosome. Chromosome. Okay. So, well, we discussed the DNA strand, genes, and chromosomes. Now, in these genes, as I said before, you can have things like eye colour. It can control eye colour. I'm going to write hair colour. You can control everything like that. But all of these factors that I'm discussing over here are genetic factors, which means that they're inherited. Now, inherited means that you get these traits or characteristics from your parents. Because your parents, each one of your parents will donate half their genetic information onto you, which is why you possess half the traits from your parents, half the traits from each one of your parents. Whereas you don't have to possess everything that your parents do. There's certain traits that could skip a generation, for example. So supposing both your parents had a recessive gene, which means a gene that wasn't particularly dominant, then supposing your grandparent had a really dominant gene, then that gene may show up in you. So supposing you've got green eyes, both your parents don't necessarily have to have green eyes. You could have both your parents have blue eyes, and because the blue eye gene may be more recessive than the green eye gene, you might end up with green eyes or brown eyes or whatever. So this whole idea of inherited factors are genetic, and you get half the genetic information from your mother and half of it from your father, which makes up you. Okay? So now that we've discussed about genetic factors, there's another type of factor called environmental. Now, environmental is everything that you experience during your lifetime. So, for example, your language. Not everyone's going to speak the same language, and that not everyone's going to be in the same culture. So basically what that means is, supposing you're a Buddha, supposing you're Buddhist, whereas your parents are, and your parents are like Buddhist, it's because you've grown up to be a Buddhist. Your parents don't pass on genetic information that says you've got to be a Buddhist in this genes, because it's just a way that you live. So it's not sort of ingrained on your genetic code. It's just something that the environment actually enables you to become. So your environment around you, if everyone around you is Buddhist, you're more likely to become Buddhist, and that's an environmental factor. So this whole idea of environmental factors include things like religion, culture, and it could be things like weight. Although you may inherit weight from your parents, so supposing both parents are overweight, for you, the chances are you'll be overweight, but it's generally down to what you actually eat yourself. So supposing you eat a lot of bad foods, even if your parents are slim, they may pass on genetic information to you to say that you should be slim, but then if you eat loads, then you're unlikely to maintain that characteristic, and you're going to express obesity. And then when you're married and when you pass on genetic information to your children, they might become overweight as well. They're more likely to, but that doesn't mean that they can't not be overweight. Supposing they their environment means that they can, supposing their environment's full of healthy foods. So supposing they're next to a they're next to a sushi bar or something, and they might eat sushi, and they might be healthy because sushi is good for you. So basically, there's environmental factors that can affect genetic factors slightly, but they're two separate factors and they're two separate ideas. Okay, so this whole idea of genetic information just basically codes for particular proteins that a body produces, so they're used to express particular characteristics or traits. And there's particular forms of genes which are known as alleles. You don't actually need to know the word allele, but the word allele is just a specific type of gene, if you like. So a gene might code for eye colour, and so your gene for eye colour might be blue, but your allele might be for light blue eyes or dark blue eyes. You don't have to have just one type. It's a specific variation of a particular gene. Okay, so it's idea of chromosomes, genes, alleles, genetic information, genetic factors and environmental factors have been discussed now. I hope you found this video helpful, and hope that sort of introduces you to the basic ideas. Obviously I could go into a lot more detail about genetic information and how this DNA, how this chromosome here, how the structure of it actually relates to each other, so how these strands are formed, and the general structure of what comprises them, what makes them, if you like. But I'll discuss that in a future video. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.